Hello, my name is Shakiya Nichols. I'm a sophomore in construction engineering management, and today I'm going to talk about my experience during my summer internship this past. I worked for Mass Electric, which is a subsidizer for Kiewit, and I worked for the industrial sector for Mass Electric. And the project that I was assigned to was the fiber optic cable project as a field/office engineer in Waltham, Massachusetts. About the project. The project was designed to install a new fiber cable along New Hampshire, Fitchburg, and Wildcat computer rail lines. We also worked along live railroad tracks. So in order for me to even be on site, I had to take a day class. It was like 8 hours, I believe. And at the end of the class, I had to take a test and pass with at least an 80 to get my license so that I was able to be near live tracks. The fiber optic that was used for the project was a 96 strand cable, which as you can see in this picture right here, this is what the cable looked like. This is like miles of cable on this railing. Also, you can see right here how close we really worked near active trains. Imagine this train going about 80 miles per hour. Is very dangerous. And also to support the fiber cable, they were plowed along the right of way of the train track. So you can see right here, like there was a vehicle that would get on the train tracks, and it will plow, as you can see where the gravel is not, underground 3 interducts. And then there's a company that would put a manhole right here. And then our job was to, once these were done, we would go blow fiber underground through the interducts that was plowed underground. Mass Electric was a subcontractor for McCourt for this project, and my company, we were tasked with installing a fiber cable underground. This is an illustration of kind of basically what we're doing. So we'll have a machine that will feed the cable underground, and you will have someone at the end figure eighting it. So you would start at one milepost. Say this was like milepost 4. You will feed the cable to milepost 5.2, figure eight it, and then set the machine up over here and repeat the cycle until you finish however long you're going for. And over here, you can see this is the machine that was used to feed the cable in the ground. It's called the Gulfstream 400. So, and also you can see here, this is like how the figure eighting would be. We would use cones to help figure eight. And then you can kind of see right here, this is the machine. And it takes the cable from the figure eight, and then you push the cable underground, and there's someone at the other end at another manhole who's receiving the cable and then figure eighting that also. What I assisted with. I attended weekly meetings to update McCourt about the progress of the project. So every Tuesday, me and my manager will sit down and we would talk with McCourt, and I will have to take notes of the meetings for like a safety thing also. So like after every meeting, I will have to log those notes for external use so other people can also see what happened during the meeting, just in case they couldn't come. And also to like fact check people about what was said during the meeting. I also helped one of the schedulers that was assigned to the project with creating a 90-day schedule. And I also worked on T&M sheets, which for this project, I did a lot of T&M sheets because since we were working on like active tracks, it was hard to get foul times for those tracks some days, because foul times meaning that you would stop a track. So you would have access to that entire track for the amount of hours you're working. And if it's like a busy track, some days we couldn't get access to those tracks, or it was too dangerous. Like say the manhole was too close to a track, like within that 4 foot foul time. We couldn't work that day because it was considered too dangerous. And some days there was also water in the interduct, which made it impossible for us to blow the fiber underground because with water blocking the way, it was hard for the cable to move underground. I also monitored the safety on site and I monitored the materials that was in the transit van. So my job was to have a list and any material that we needed for that day of the project. I had to make sure that it was inside the transit van. And I also logged the daily plans. So after each day, I would have to um, put in how many hours each crew member worked for that day and the amount of fiber that they actually installed underground. So say even if we pushed 4,000 feet of fiber, but only 500 of that was underground. Like as you saw in the figure eight, that's a lot of footage, but maybe there was only 400 of that underground. I will have to log that. And then I will also create a plan for the next day. Uh, I also I also worked on other projects while I was in the office, like because I was with the estimating team some this summer also. So my manager and one of the people who worked for the estimating department, Dave, they wanted me to work on doing takeoffs by hand. And then later you'll see that they gave me a takeoff to do like they do it, which is using Accubit. But this is a actual picture of the takeoff I did for this project actually. Um, I had to count every single material by hand, which was, it took forever. And I also had to measure how much fiber cable we would have and the drop-offs for each section. So this is why you can't really see now, but these black numbers is like the drop-offs of the fiber cable. And I had to measure each distance using this hand scaler. Awful. But it was a good experience to show me how things were done before technology came into the picture for estimating and to count all the materials. I was handed a hand clicker to count the materials. And then the next project was a Microsoft data center that's being built in Wisconsin. So we helped do estimating for this project. And I assisted with doing this in Accubid, which I think Accubid is nice because during Accubid, um, he assigned different people different tasks and everyone can work on it at the same time, which is really nice. And you can see where other people at and you get a bid number for those materials right then and there instead of like doing it on paper and having to transfer them online. So this was really nice and it was a lot faster than doing them by hand. Lessons learned. The biggest lesson that I learned, that I think I learned this summer, well, not that I think, that I know that I learned this summer, was safety. And Kiewit and Mass Electric have this model that no one gets hurt. And especially since this project was on active railroad trainings, this or railroad tracks, this project was if you're not safe, you would get kicked out. Like I literally watched someone who was crossing the tracks because they were just going to they forgot um a wrench in the transit van. So he was crossing the tracks and because he didn't inform the EIC, he ended up getting sent home for that day because even though it wasn't a train coming, that's still like bringing up bad habits and they just wanted people to be safe. So like in the morning, we would have to go do a toolbox talk with the head of mid-court. And then after that, we will have to go to our storage facility and do our own toolbox talk and safety for today. And then when we actually got to where we were working that day, so wherever station we're working at or track crossing was working at, we had to go over safety briefings with the EIC. And at any time we would leave to go like get more materials or go get lunch or something, when we came back, we would have to check in with the EIC again and check over any safety changes or foul time changes. And also, when I was in the office, every Monday, we will have the safety talks going over the safeties for the previous weeks or how we could maintain safety or something happened. So safety, I learned that safety is probably the most important thing for construction. Also, I learned that there's a saying that this guy named Kevin who worked in an office. He told me that during one of our McCourt meetings, he told me that cash is king because with this project, it got delayed a lot. Like we didn't start blowing fiber cable till July the 1st, and we were supposed to start blowing fiber cable in January. So he was telling me that like for construction, you always want to make sure you're giving the best work, but spending the less money while doing so. So he's telling me that there was a lot of decisions that had to go into making to make sure they save money and things like that. And he was basically saying a construction project can't really work if you don't have the funds to complete the project. I also learned that pride is a huge thing for this type of job. Like in the office, you don't really see it that much, but on the field, pride can get a way of completing your tasks during the day. Like if you don't set your pride aside, it can cause the whole day just to go wrong, which is what happened one of the days. So we had to have a meeting to like say, hey, guys, we're a team. Like we get that some people are more experienced than others because we had an apprentice on the job and we had people who also worked in this industry for 40 years. So they were just like flashing heads. And sometimes I had to realize that like, well, I didn't have to realize, they had to realize that if you sit your pride aside, you can get the job done a lot faster than butting heads with each other. Another lesson, which might be the second biggest lesson besides the safety one that I learned, is always being engaged in meetings. So at the end of my summer internship, I asked my manager what is one thing that he saw that I need to improve on. And he told me that was being engaged in meetings. Like at the beginning of the summer, I was like always engaged, making sure I was paying attention to things like that. But like towards the end of the summer, I got a little comfortable, so like I would like slouch back in my chair or like hunched over and things like that. And he was like, a lot of people they take notice of that. And he said that's one thing that when he was first starting out, that he would do, that his managers would talk to him about. So he wanted to like make sure that I knew that early to get ahead of the game because a lot of people get comfortable in meetings and they don't always seem engaged, and other people are taking note of that always. But that was my experience this summer. Thank you.